Hey everybody, today we are changing the oil in a Toro time cutter zero turn with the Kohler 7000 series motor. The engine's nice and cool, so the oil should flow pretty decently. On this side of the motor is your drain. That drains your oil. We got to do that first. Normally it's connected up here with a zip tie. We cut that so it's a little easier to get to, and then we'll just put a zip tie back on it when we're done. So the first thing, we got to drain the oil out of the crankcase. Turn your plier the other way. You could probably get this with a couple 8-inch adjustable wrenches, or like he's doing here with the channel locks. All it is a pipe plug on that fitting. We're just using this little diverter thing so we can drain everything. We need to pop the filler so we would let air get into the system. Might help it drain. So it'll be a little bit. We'll come back after we get the oil drained. Okay, so we got the oil drained, so we put the plug back in, put us a new zip tie. So that part's done. Now we're gonna come over here. We kind of had to rig something up so we can take this oil filter off without making a mess. So hopefully we can get that off without making a mess and get oil everywhere. But that's okay if we make a mess. We got kitty litter, put on the concrete, and don't have to. That way we can absorb the oil mess. But hopefully it's not going to be too bad. Yeah, see, that wants to run the other direction, darn it. Okay, we're gonna have to try to, yeah, and we made a mess, naturally. Okay, let's get that cleaned up. We'll be right back. Well, we got the oil filter off, and as you can see, this was the original when we bought the zero turn. This is our replacement. They're the same numbers, so we are good to go there. We got it fairly cleaned up. Before we put the filter on, we'll make sure that the whole area is clean, no loose oil. What the owner's manual says to do is to fill this up to the bottom of the threads and let it sit for a minute and let that filter element get saturated with oil. So we're going to do that, and then we'll dump the excess back in our bottle so we don't make a mess putting this onto the zero turn. So give us a minute, we'll be right back. Might be a little hard to see, but we did put oil in it, and the element, it does look like it's absorbing some of the oil, and that's what the instructions tell you to do. We can add just a little bit more. We want that element to be saturated. And like I said, we'll dump the excess back into the bottle so we can put it into the motor. We're back. Okay, so we let the oil saturate the inside of the filter element. We've put oil around the gasket. We've made sure everything's clean. No dirt on the seal. Now we're going to install the filter. We even wrote the date that we're doing this on the filter itself. You don't have to be overzealous tightening that thing. So you can put on like a glove that's got something so you can grab it. Just tighten it by hand, just so it's nice and tight. Okay, next thing we're going to do, we're going to start adding our oil. What we're using Briggs & Stratton 5W30 full synthetic. We want to be able to run this mower in the fall, in the spring, when temperatures aren't always the greatest, you know, maybe 40 degrees, 45 degrees. We want this engine to start really well. So full synthetic 530, we can run all summer even on that oil. The other thing that the instructions tell you, or the owner's manual, it's got to be SJ approved. And this, if you read the top portion, it meets service category SJ and Briggs & Stratton factory applications. Now naturally, this is a Kohler, no big deal, but the full synthetic oil should be fine. Okay, it says it takes 64 ounces. We've got 2 quarts. And that should do it. Okay, so that's 32 ounces. Don't forget, we saturated the filter. Next, what we'll do, we'll put about half a quart, and then we'll check our oil level. We don't want to overfill. So be careful, just put about half a quart. Okay, that's good for now. Give it a second and we'll check our level. Okay, so it's been a minute. We tried to let that oil get down into the case, so now we're going to check it. Push it down in there. Okay. Pull it out.
Doesn't look like there's any on there.
Yeah, it's hard to see, but it looks like we're almost full. We'll put a little bit more, not much. Okay, we added just a tiny bit more. We should be right on the money. And yes, we are at the full mark. But what will be the defining situation is once we run this mower for a couple of days, we'll check the oil again and make sure everything is like it's supposed to be. Make sure we're not getting any oil leaks or anything like that. So there you go. Toro 42-inch zero turn, model 75 747 with the Kohler 7000 motor. Oil change. See ya.